Hello everyone and welcome to the first part of my walkthrough for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone for the PS1. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to start a new game. This is definitely one of the more interesting games I've ever played. I got this game when I was, I think maybe, how old was I? I think I was about 10 years old when I got this game. After you start the game, you'll get this little storyboard cutscene here. There's a couple of these in the game. This one here just kind of like skips through the first 6 or 7 chapters of the book and just kind of gets the game started. They're pretty boring, but luckily there's not that many in the game, and this is probably the only really long one. It just kind of tells about Harry's backstory and all that stuff. I remember when this game first came out, it came out, I think, either shortly before or right around the same time that the first movie came out. And it's like, after reading the book and then seeing the movie and then playing this game, it was like a really, odd experience, because this game, it's definitely one of the more odd games that I've ever played. Okay, now we're going to start the game here. We'll start out in the entrance hall, and we'll meet Dumbledore, and he'll just kind of tell you about Hogwarts and all that. And just a heads up, I'm sorry, they did a pretty crappy job of portraying Hogwarts in this game. It is nothing like it as described in the books or in the movies. I will admit though that Dumbledore does, pretty much look like the way I would expect him to look, after reading the books, this old man with a beard that just kind of drags on the floor. Okay, now we're going to gain control of Harry. Dumbledore just kind of walks around in a circle and just says a bunch of random things, like the senile old man he is. But there's a few doors in here. That big one leads to the grounds. This broom cupboard here. This thing has been like the subject of rumors since the game first came out. As far as I know, there is no way to unlock the broom cupboard at all. It just stays locked during the entire game. But it really makes me wonder why they even put it there in the first place. But I've heard so many rumors over the years of how to unlock it, and I've yet to see anything. But let's go in here into the portrait room. Now this portrait here, there's 4 of these in the game, and behind each one is, a special prize that kind of makes the game a little easier. But to get behind the portrait, you need the password, and to get the password, we'll get to that in a minute. So, obviously this is the first one out of 4 in this game. We'll go back out into the entrance hall here. All of the other doors are locked for now, so we'll just go ahead. There's the Great Hall. We'll just go ahead and go up the staircase. And, there's 2 doors here. The one down that way is locked, so we'll go here, and we'll go into Gryffindor Tower. And we'll go down the staircase here, and we'll meet Fred and George Weasley, and they'll tell you how to get the password for the portraits. Basically, in each section of the game where there's, a portrait, there's, every flavor beans, and you need to get a certain amount of each kind and give them to Fred and George, and they'll give you the password. Okay, so right now we're looking for yellow every flavor beans. and there's 50 of them that we need to get for Fred and George. But before we go do that, we'll go, and there's a secret passage here at this bookcase. And in here is a famous Witches and Wizards card. Now there's 17 of these in the game, and if you get all 17, you'll get a bit of an alternate ending at the end of the game. But we'll look at all of that later. Right now, let's go back out here, and we'll go into the Gryffindor common room. Now in here, there's a couple things. You'll learn about Wiggenweld potions and chocolate frogs. Wiggenweld potions completely restore your health, and chocolate frogs give you back some of your health. So, that's kind of something to keep in mind as you play the game. Okay, now this notice board here, it's just kind of there for fun. It says a bunch of random things, but it doesn't really do anything. I kind of don't like how, for the most part, Harry is a silent protagonist in this game. Floating red books are save points, so we're going to go ahead and save the game here real quick. And on the table here is a copy of the Daily Prophet. It'll tell you about a break-in at Gringotts. And other than these few moments where, Harry's reading something, he's, for the most part, a silent protagonist in this game. And I really don't like that, because, it doesn't suit Harry to be quiet throughout, a whole adventure. Okay, this book here will show you all the famous Witches and Wizards cards you've collected so far. So far we only have Merlin. There's 16 more to get, but we'll look at all of those later. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out of the common room here. Okay, we're going to go this way, and we're going to go down the Charms corridor. And then we're going to go around this corner here, and we're going to run into Ron Weasley, and we're going to start our first little adventure here. Apparently Draco Malfoy has stolen Hedwig, and he's ran off with her. And I like how Ron says he saw Draco run through the door with Hedwig, but he didn't try to stop him at all. Now this first section is pretty much just a tutorial level. You'll learn all the different aspects of the game, and you'll meet Draco Malfoy, and you'll run into him a few times during the game, but he's not too much trouble. I think for the most part they portrayed, the characters fairly well in this game. Draco's a total spoiled brat, and Ron's just kind of, the sidekick. Now here you'll learn about, jumping and climbing, and basically the way it works is when you reach the edge of something, depending on the situation, like you just hold down the forward button and you'll automatically either climb or jump. And, it works automatically, and that can be a real problem later on in the game in certain parts. Okay, now these feathers here, you have to get all the feathers in each room to unlock the door at the end, so you can get to the next room. At this point, Ron's going to go back and watch the entrance, so you're on your own at this point. So go ahead and just keep getting the feathers. And personally, I think at this point, Ron's not doing a very good job as a friend. He let some brat run off with your owl, and he's not even, accompanying you to get her back. And here you'll meet Nearly Headless Nick, and you'll run into him a good bit during this game. He'll help you out, give you a whole bunch of different tips on stuff you can do. Like right here, he'll tell you how you can look around, but we don't really need that in here. This is really straightforward. just climb up, don't fall off the edge, and you'll be fine. And I like how this is supposed to be part of the library, but for these next few rooms, there's not a single book anywhere. There's a ton of portraits, but there's no books. Okay, and we're at the top already. Okay, there's a chocolate frog there. Get the feather. Now we'll go on to the next room. And in this next room, you'll learn your first spell, the Flipendo Knockback Jinx. For those of you who read the books, it's pretty much the equivalent of Stupefy. You'll use it. It's the spell you'll use the most in this game. It'll, get rid of anything that would try to attack you. Now, if you just press the X button, you'll shoot a little one. You'll shoot a little knockback Jinx, but if you hold down the X button, you'll charge it up and make it more powerful. And it's every time you kill one of these snails, you'll get 5 points for Gryffindor. So, that's 5 points right there. I missed it that time. There's 5 more. A feather. These blue books, they just kind of give you tips on the game. Okay, another snail. 5 more points. That's 15 so far. And next room. So go ahead and go to the edge here, and this book will just tell you how you can cast Flipendo from, first person view mode. So what you want to do is you want to get over to the edge here and Flipendo the spider webs here. And that's 5 extra points for Gryffindor. So we're at 20 so far. Now Nick will tell you how you can use the knockback Jinx to move stuff. And he also tells you anything that has a twinkle above it can be affected by a knockback Jinx. But that also goes for every other spell in this game. When you see a twinkle, depending on what color it is, that'll tell you what spell, that object can be affected by. You see, this one can be affected by a knockback Jinx. You just go ahead, hit it with a knockback Jinx, and it'll move. So go ahead and move it all the way to the end here. 5 more points for Gryffindor. Climb up. And Flipendo this rat here. 10 more points. And grab these 2 feathers and unlock the door. There's the hooded figure. You'll see him a couple times in the game. And if you don't know who that is, you seriously need to pick up a book. Or at least watch a movie. Okay, these tall blocks, basically you just need to hit them with a charged knockback Jinx. Same concept, just hold down the X button longer. Okay, now before we move this block, let's go ahead and go over here, and we'll climb up to the ledge here. Okay, and we'll jump onto the block, and we'll jump over to this balcony here. And cast Flipendo on the spider webs. 5 extra points for Gryffindor. Get back down here. And we'll move this block. Five more points. Climb up here again. And then we'll jump across. And we'll get the last 2 feathers and we'll unlock the door. And that'll be it for this section, and we'll continue with more on this section and the rest of the game in the next video, so keep watching.